Hey everybody. This is the second book I read in January, so I'm going to review that. But I'm just wanting to take this time to say, hey, feeling so grateful for everything that I do have during this really intense time where I'm in Cali. Everyone is asked to stay home and be considerate of the space that you're in outside as well as inside of your house. And I appreciate those boundaries because I think it just helps us understand how we impact each other on a broader scale. And we're asked to think more intuitively or clearly on that. So I appreciate that. That said, I am home and I am going through projects and things that I've been wanting to do. One of those things being, of course, my book report videos. I love doing this. This is so fun. It's like back in school. So the second book in January that I read that I would love to share on is The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up. Whoop, whoop. A counterintuitive approach to living a good life. And this is by Manson. I do recommend this book. I think I read all books that I generally recommend. And so I think that this reaches an audience naturally who's curious, who's open, and also who's skeptical. Because this book, I believe, from what I could tell, it was created for, and I think Mark says it, that it was created for people that may be a little skeptical of the whole self-help book genre and maybe think it's a little woo-woo, frou-frou, maybe doggy doo-doo. And it's like, no, I mean, self-help books have a role, have a place, and bring a lot of value. This guy's serving it to you in a humorous, sort of flippant, just dude way, but it's great. He's so thoughtful, and I love the lessons that he brings. So I'm going to share my takeaways. I will say there's a lot of the actual F word. I myself have a sailor's vocabulary, so I get it, and sometimes it's really funny. Other times it felt like a little much. So just as a FYI, you're just gonna read fuck a lot. But other than that, of course, I'd recommend this in these times where we're just home a lot of the time anyway. Read more. That would be my suggestion if you're open to that. And so he really talks about mostly our values. What are our current values? What do we tend to give a fuck about? And what are we not giving a fuck about? And a good example is hey, do I care about what this person sitting next to me on the bus is thinking of my outfit? If that is actually impacting and entering my mind, that's me giving a fuck about something that actually does not serve me to spend the mental energy and emotional energy on caring about, right? So it's, again, taking stock. Where am I giving my fucks? Is it still serving me? If not, where should I reallocate certain fucks to give a fuck toward things that will better serve me, right? So it's great. It really speaks to just this everyday kind of mindset that could get with this. So I think it was really smart what he did in coming out with this book. I noticed that it kind of took me a while, however, to get into it. Just personally, halfway through the book, something shifted. It's just my personal experience. Something shifted in me. Something clicked. I was just vibing with the voice more, and things just got really juicy. With this guy, he's a writer. He's a blogger. He's thought a lot about his own personal life experiences and relationships. He was blogging on dating and was traveling the world and just seeing different cultures, experiencing it, throwing himself into that whole world. And because he's always been able to work remotely, that has worked for him. So as someone who's not really chosen to travel the world a lot, it's great to hear what people have gotten from that. So it's definitely interesting. And so for him, I'm just looking at my notes here because I don't want to miss anything. See, this is the layout. But yeah, it's a very casual read, but it does bring up really good points for you to reflect on at your pace. So So that's what I'd say about that. He has this great dating story where he was in Russia, actually. And he was dating a girl first time. They were like at coffee, and he made a joke or he said something, and then the girl was like, "Oh, what you just said was stupid." But she wasn't saying it in like this judgy, mean way. She was actually just pointing out that what he said didn't actually make sense and didn't actually resonate. And he said that he kind of grew to love that about Russian culture. It's so like upfront and sort of stern and brutally honest, but there's like no feelings there that really get hurt, because he as Mark Manson describes it, he's just like, you know, the kind of niceties that we require in our Western cultural style of communicating actually hinder us a little bit from being able to grow and challenge each other more. So I loved that. So be on the lookout. If I ever call something that you say stupid, it's completely out of love, and I welcome that feedback. Okay, but seriously, some quotes and some key takeaways. I just want to go down this list. This won't be as long as my first video. So self-limiting beliefs have a terrible long-term consequence for us. Long-term consequences. Yet we cling to self-limiting beliefs because there's a sense of comfort there. And we assume that we're actually right about these self-limiting beliefs, whatever they are. Just pick one. Think of one now. Okay, you thought of one. There's some part of us, right, that thinks of ourselves, that thinks that we're actually right, unfortunately, about that self-limiting thought. And so that's why we keep it around. That's why we don't charge it rent. We just let it stay in our house for free, right? Because we think we're right about it. But we cling to that. We assume that we're right about those things that we dislike about ourselves, and we are therefore assuming that we know what is supposed to happen, who exactly we're supposed to be, and that we know how our story ends. I loved that. We're assuming that we know how the story ends. But as my auntie Becky said, hey, girl, don't worry. If you wake up tomorrow, you can move to Vermont. Because you never know what this life will bring. And I always think about that Aunt Becky quote. It's just like, yeah, I could be in Vermont. Who knows? So yeah, you never know what life brings. You never know how your story's really going to end. So just fuck the self-limiting beliefs. You don't need them. So I love that. I love when other forces give you permission to drop that baggage. It's definitely work, but it's so worth it. And then another note here, there's more potential in becoming the artist that nobody likes rather than the artist that nobody knows. I'm going to say that again because I'm a singer-songwriter, and I have a lot of singer-songwriter friends, so I'm saying this again for you guys. There's more potential in becoming the artist that nobody likes rather than the artist that nobody knows. Do I have to expand on that? Just be you, and don't worry about what the world says. And you're probably going to get pushback from people close to you in your circle. It's okay. Feel the pain, feel the fear, move through it, process it, and then do yourself anyway. Do you anyway. Feel the fear, do it anyway. Okay, and then building tolerance for discomfort will help you give more fucks about things that actually build you up rather than remaining small. God, it's so good, right? And then I'm going to wrap it up with the last takeaway that I just thought this was so powerful. So the author is talking about having lost a friend. He was present at a party when a friend of his died. And so Mark Manson went into this deep depression for a while, understandably so. And he said that when he kind of was healing and cycling out of his depression, he said, I was sitting on my mom's couch that summer, staring into the so-called abyss, seeing the endless, turning page, stay with me. Okay, and seeing the endless and incomprehensible nothingness where Josh's friendship used to be. Okay? When I came to the startling realization that if there really is no reason to do anything, then there's also no reason to not do anything. That in the face of the inevitability of death, there is no reason to ever give in to one's fear or embarrassment or shame, since it's all just a bunch of nothing anyway. And that by spending the majority of my short life avoiding what was painful and uncomfortable, I had essentially been avoiding being alive at all. Wow. That's... So, yeah, you know what, y'all? We don't have time anymore, I think, which has been made quite apparent. And with the world's happenings and world's goings on. No more time for self-limited thoughts. Be you. We all have access. Well, I don't know about all of us. That's an issue too. Hopefully all of us that do have access and the privilege of being able to have internet are using it to bring value and joy and just to be yourself at the end of the day, right? So let's do it. We're together in this. I love everyone. Even if we don't get along, I still love you. And thank you for watching this. MJoy out.